thought it might be fun to see what I've got in the glove department these days. Most of these have no value. They're too old to play in anymore. I just keep them for sentimental reasons. I donate a lot of gloves. I take a lot of my gloves when they're still in decent condition, and I've got a friend who runs a charity who sends equipment to Caribbean countries, and I bring him a bag every so often. So in case you think I'm hoarding gloves, I don't do that. I give away a lot of gloves. But let's see what I have. A few new pair that I haven't gotten into yet. Adidas. I get these obviously through NC State. This was the Classic Pro from a few years ago, and I really like the latex they use for this, but it's got the worst bandage wrist. You cannot, there's no little slit or anything there. And if you put these on at the beginning of a session, just leave them on the whole session, because it takes 5 minutes. And I have skinny little wrists, but it takes forever to get in and out of them. Oh yeah, here we go. First pair of Sebastian Selke Pimps. If you don't know Sebastian, you should. I had him make me a pair of these gloves. So he gets, he has some kind of magical source where he can get original badges and pieces of old Sport gloves and Reusch gloves, and then he'll make you a glove. So this was a model, was this the 0092, the 092? I'm not sure, but it's from the early 90s. And I had him make me a pair of these with a modern latex and a negative cut. So I wear those every now and then in training, just to go retro. Rob Stokes, who you should all know, sent me a pair of these Cannonball gloves. I think people know the story of Cannonball. Dave Beasant wore a pair of Cannonball gloves in the cup final where Wimbledon beat Liverpool. I owned a pair much closer to what he wore in that game. It was the same backhand, but the palm was a gray pin-pricked palm. It was terrible. Not a good glove at all. This is probably not a good glove either. It is literally as thin as paper, and it's a waffle board kind of palm. There's a little bit of grip there, but obviously you wouldn't compare those to a modern glove. Here's some classics. Sells Aquas. These would be probably from around 2005, 6, somewhere in there, 7 maybe. You can see the latex is gone yellow and brittle in places. It's still really quite grippy where it's good, but you know, there's nothing you can do. In the end, time is going to get gloves. Latex doesn't last forever. Now, a kind of a bad thing that I did was put them here. See the window right there? No direct sunlight comes through that window, but even ambient sunlight is just death on gloves long term. So before we moved into this house, I lived right across the lake on the same property, and I had these same storage boxes, and I had them in a closet that gets no sunlight whatsoever. And in the 2 years since we moved from there to here, I've seen a lot of noticeable degradation in the latex of these gloves, which is too bad. And it's really because of that window. Like I said, that ambient light is all it takes. This was a glove I wore when I started playing again in New York City in the mid to late 2000s. And I was just blown away by its performance in wet weather. You know, I went 12 or 13 years without playing from my last game in 1995 till I started playing in New York City. And we didn't really have wet weather specific latex back then. You had gloves that were marketed as wet weather latex, but they didn't particularly grip any better. And I was blown away by this and a pair of Allsport Aquasofts that are in here somewhere also. I just couldn't get over how good they are in wet. The only thing I didn't like about these in wet weather is this all latex backhand picks up a lot of water and holds a lot of water. So even though I do like that it's a nice fluffy, thick backhand, because I like that feeling, in a driving rainstorm you end up having to squeeze a ton of water out of your gloves. This was a budget pair of support frame chimeras, which I actually removed the palm from because I was going to send these to Basti Selke to have him put a new palm on for me, and I never did, and I never will. This, yeah, time has really destroyed these gloves. This was a pro level Chimera model with a negative palm, and it had, you know, people like talk about the elusive Profi latex, and this did seem to have a latex that was much better than stock, and it wasn't very durable, as you might expect, because the more grip, the more adhesion that you have initially, the more wear you're going to get. But these have gone completely brittle and totally dry. If I tried to even put these on, they would crumble away to nothing. But I like the look, and I'm going to hold on to them. This is a glove I absolutely loved, the Sells Comfort Contour. And I've got 2 pair of these. This is the much worse pair. Again, they've gone brittle and yellow and hard, and I'm not even going to try to take them out of that packet because they'd probably die. I do have another pair somewhere else. Here's a pair of Cellsport Rappas. This is 2010 or 11 or 12 when they went away from the high grooved backhand latex, which I wish they never done, or I wish they made that available still on some model. This still has really decent latex, but you can see a pretty significant tear there. A little bit of yellowing right there, but the latex is still soft. Like, that's a match quality latex still. There hasn't been any of the dry rot that you get so many others. It's funny, actually, the logo back here, this is sort of dry rotted, but the latex is still usable. This is a pair of HOMGCs from around 2008. It's actually a great glove. It's got a internal latex, negative cut. You can see, if you can see the lined pattern on the palm, that's for the ribbed internal latex. It's something that glove manufacturers have gone away from. I always really liked it. Does make them difficult to put on and take off, but once they're on, it's a great feeling. I didn't really like the look. I didn't like the Halloween colorway, so I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paint these gloves. I'm going to paint that black, white. I didn't use a latex-friendly paint, and it just got all hard and brittle, and essentially I ruined a pair of gloves for no good reason. All right, we might not want to go through every one of these. Some of them aren't interesting. Oh, I love this glove. Wow. Oh man, did I love this glove. This is the Cellsport Phantom. This was when it still was a high groove latex backhand. It's not easy. I haven't taken these out in a very long time, so I don't know what the condition is going to be like. I know that you're getting terrible video right now. Hang on. Get them out. Okay, here we go. I just loved everything about this glove. Big, fluffy, thick, loads of protection. It just felt secure and comfortable. Love a classic roll finger design with the rolled thumb. As later Cellsport models, there's no seam here along the thumb, so it's just a one-piece backhand. And then the all white, which I think there's a tiny little bit of value to a really solidly white glove, in that if you do get impeded while going for a cross, maybe referees take note of that and just see it a little better because your hands are so visible. This latex in the center of the glove is still really soft. I mean, that's just fantastic grip, but you can see this very distinct line here as the yellowing has started to creep in around the edges. So these are going to eventually be overtaken by the dreaded dry rot. Pair of newer Adidas. Same old story with these Adidas gloves that we get at NC State. These are the Predator Pros. Out of the bag, the grip is amazing. About a month later, it just vanishes. There's not even any wear on the fingertips, but there's no more grip. Here's a pair of retro re-releases from Just Keepers. Some of you might remember Neville Southall wore this glove for a season or two while he was at Everton. I think he was wearing it that famous match where he sat down against the post at halftime. This has fantastic latex. It's a little too small for me. The only size they had available was 8, and I wear a 9. But I still will wear these in a coaching session now and then. This is the 031 remake that they did. It's you know, it's a nice effort. They, for some reason, I'm not going to try and take it out of the bag, but for some reason they put a white bandage strap on it. It would look a lot better, certainly a lot more true to the original with a black strap. It's also a roll finger, which I like, but because of that, you see the white palm coming through on the backhand. It's a decent effort, and I'm glad that they made it. I would love, just absolutely love, a true replica of the 031 flat palm, no wristband at all, just the elastic band, and then the thumb was a little bit different material. It was a really thin, almost like a Mylar. There's another pair of the Cannonballs that I got from Rob. Loved this glove. ProFlex Interna CellSport. This is from around 2005, 2006. I've got a second pair in here somewhere. These lasted forever. In fact, this is a glove that's been done in by this Ambient Sun, because up until 2 years ago, up until we made this move, I would still wear these in a game if I was still playing in games. I mean, the latex was just perfect. I just love this glove. I love the look of it. I love the feel. It's another internal latex glove, so it's got the ribbed latex on the inside. You can't see it. I won't try to get the camera in there, but this is still really good latex. I mean, I could still wear these in a coaching session. You see a little bit of yellowing happening right there, but it's not crumbly or falling apart or anything, and I could still wear them. This is a second pair of the support frame, the cheaper version. This was Old Sport calls this soft latex, so that's their entry level. Super soft is the good stuff, and then of course they have their chemically treated palms like Absolute Grip or Super Grip or whatever they have new now. That's a decent glove. I like to keep a finger protection or two glove around just in case I'm dealing with a finger injury. I didn't grow up with finger protection, so I don't like it. Another glove I absolutely love. I got two pairs of them. The CellSport Ultra Flex Contour. Again, this is from 2007, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. Both of my pair lasted a really long time for me. I love this glove because if you can see here, the body construction is fabric. And gloves all started to go to either polyurethane or all latex on the backhand. You didn't get a lot of fabric back then, and it's this silky kind of fabric. It just felt great. It's a very light glove. I think that's where Ultraflex comes from. Simple roll finger design. I think it's the GigaGrip latex. One of these pairs is in better shape than the other pair. I think that's the good ones. I just dropped down there. But these were great gloves for me when I was playing in New York. Okay, here's a second pair of the. Oh yeah, this is the one that So this is the second pair of ProFlex Interna, and you can see just by virtue of this glove, these gloves being closest to the window, and this pair, in fact, that it's really killed it. I mean, it's really destroyed it. If you look at the difference between this exact same glove, wherever it might be, the other CellSport ProFlex Interna, it's a night and day difference. Well, it's down there somewhere, but this is just so much worse. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it's just gone. You know, I can actually feel the latex crumbling a little bit on me. I don't want this to get any worse. This was a really interesting brand called Pro Iberia. Guy I got to be kind of buddies with online started this brand himself. He actually got Jimmy Nielsen from the Kansas City MLS team wearing these gloves, and they won an MLS championship while he wore these gloves. I liked all the gloves they made. They were almost all negative cut with kind of a fabric mesh backhand. These would have been from around the end of the decade before this one, the end of the 2010s. I had a few pair of those. I gave a lot of those away. He sent me 6 or 8 to test, and which was really nice of him, obviously. And again, I know it looks like I'm a hoarder, but I used all these gloves past the point of being used, and now they really can't be worn. A lot of gloves before they got to this point, when they still had some life in them, I would give them away. HPGs that I got from Bushy. Great glove. Really like this glove. You can see I got a lot of usage out of this glove. Probably wore it for all my coaching and training and a little bit of playing for 3 or 4 months straight before I kind of killed them. Yeah, this was a cool Sukan Sports remake. The glove bag, and you know, I don't want to miscredit this. I think Rob Stokes obviously helped a lot with this, and I don't remember if the glove bag was also part of the process of getting these gloves made, but they're a retro design, you know, from the old Soucan classics. I mean, this design dates way back to the early 80s when latex gloves first started to become popular at the pro level. And of course, if you know your history, you know that Soucan Sports and Dave Holmes had a lot to do with that. That's another pair of the old sport, the Adidas Classic Pro, boring. Adidas Predator Pros from a few years back. I never get my gloves personalized, but I did this one time, and those are my dogs. That it was in memory of Blake, who was already gone by the time I got these, and Bryce was my new dog, so I got their names on the gloves. This was a pair of Cell Sports I really loved. Don't even remember what they're called, but I just like the design a lot. So it's got the high groove backhand, a little bit of the pink mesh in there, and a white roll finger palm. These have gone really bad. I mean, hopefully the camera will focus there and you can see the dry rot. And again, just from my own experience of keeping gloves over many years, if you can keep them out of even ambient sunlight, you can keep them alive a lot longer. I mean, again, these would have been, now I'm not going to say good as new, but a whole lot better than this 2 years ago. And what has mattered in the intervening 2 years isn't that passage of time, it's the ambient sunlight. Okay, moving on. I got a pair of KAs, which I really like. Caliers, actually, or sort of the, I never know actually which is which, whether it's Calier. That's the Calier logo, but that's the K there for KA. But got these from Kenny, and they're great gloves. I absolutely love all their designs. The Avietas that I got from my buddy Jamie Stevens. He went through gloves. He was, given gloves to test and try, being a professional, and he sent me these, see if I would like them. I did. I like a bulky glove. It's funny, I like the two extremes. I like a big, fluffy, bulky glove, or I like a really thin, lightweight, tight-fitting glove. I don't like a glove that doesn't easily fit into one of those two categories, but I like this glove just fine. This is back from 2010, 2011, somewhere along there. This is a budget pair of Ullsport Ergonomics support frame. So this looks like the top of the line Absolute Grip model, but it's not. It's a finger protection glove with the soft latex and a flat palm. I use these a lot. These have aged terribly. And this glove isn't that old, and you can see the latex is just gone completely dry rotted in there. I don't think that's got anything to do with the quality of the latex, the quality of the build of the glove. That's just sun exposure. In fact, here's how they were sitting in my drawer, and you see this side that was facing the window is dry rotted. If we flip it over, it's really not. It's old, but it's not dry rotted like that. So again, stay out of the sun. Here's a really cool brand. All right, this was Cut Goalkeeping. This was started by a couple of good friends of mine. You know them if you're in the glove world. The guys who ran the Glove Bag, which you probably know more for the Instagram account now, and the really cool photoshops that Simon does. And then my friend Greg, they ran this company together. They made a couple of models of this glove. I think that's a great, cool design, kind of retro but modern. And then there was a black version with sort of white latex highlights. I enjoyed this glove a lot. Fit great, good grip. Here's a pair of Ullsports. These aren't retro, these are original. This was a budget model. There was a high-end model with the same backhand that I think Walter Zenga wore. This is like a paper-thin budget model of it. It's actually really good latex, but you would never wear this in a game. You see the fingertips have started to go yellow. We're getting to the end. Here's another pair of Rappas. Again, I really wish I'd kept a pair of the older version of Rappas that had the high groove backhand, but I didn't. I gave them away at some point. These I liked. I've liked all Cell Sport gloves. I'm a little disappointed they haven't continued to innovate. They were so innovative at one time, and their gloves today are still good, but they're very similar to what they have been for the last decade. Couple pair of All Sport Retro releases, the 040. I wear this coaching every now and then just because, again, I get a kick out of it. Nobody else cares. Kids don't notice. And who cares? Why should they? They weren't alive when every goalkeeper on the planet wore these. I don't know who you think of when you see this glove. I think of Dino Zoff and Thomas Nkono. And then the 034 remake, which I'm not going to pull out of there, but again, they did a good job with this. Again, I'll put this on for a coaching session every now and then. I think of Pat Jennings when I see this glove. Okay, last one. Maybe not so interesting down here. Here's another pair of pimps that I had Sebastian Selke make me. This is an All Sport design that dates back to the very earliest days, and this is the original latex. This is what they called their 3-layer foam. And if you look close enough, you'll see it's because, and let's see if I can get it to focus, it's a latex that has both raised dimples and then depressed little, I don't know what you'd call them, little holes in the latex. And then there's a layer, you know, intermediate to those two, to the highs and to the lows, so they called it 3-level. That's original from the period there. That's an original All Sport Pro badge. And then you just put a modern latex on it in a negative cut. So again, I'll put those on for training sessions sometimes. Here's my second pair of the Cells Contour Classic, and the bag is wrong. I've got it in a Cell Sport bag. Loved this glove. When I started playing again in New York, just for fun in the mid to late 2010s, negative cut gloves were a new thing for me because although they existed in the 80s and 90s, they weren't very popular, they weren't very well done, and I wasn't, you know, I hadn't been exposed to them, so this was one of the first negative cut gloves I tried, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved this latex. I forget what it's called. Super 4? Yeah, the Super 4 latex. And this is an example of the kind of glove I like on the other extreme. This is a tight-fitting glove with a fabric backhand. It's not all latex because you don't need a ton of latex back here. You do need some help when punching, but otherwise, I just like the feeling of that, of the tight, stretchy fabric. And I love this latex. It was great in all weather conditions. I was totally in love with that glove. Second pair of the doggy personalized All Sport or Adidas Predators. I don't know why I keep saying All Sport. This was an All Sport Adidas finger save all around. This was my first experience with a modern Adidas glove. When I say modern, I mean when I started playing again. Of like amazing grip when new. So good that you just think, wow, I mean, I want to play at a professional level. Like, get me a chance. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, without any visible wear, the grip just goes. Like, I mean, look at this is the index finger. There's no wear. I probably wore this glove 15 or 20 times. There is no wear on those fingertips. And of course, there's no grip now because they're, you know, 12 years old. But even back then, after a month, that grip was just gone. This is a glove I loved. Wow, I just realized this is my only pair of HOs that I currently have. There was a time where I loved HO, and I wore HO all the time. Again, I've given a lot of those away. This is the Gata, G-H-O-T-T-A. Love this glove. Hybrid cut, so that finger is roll, and the two middle fingers are negative, and then the little finger is roll again. The micro adjustment strap was a bit gimmicky. I didn't feel like I needed that. It was just an extra thing to fiddle with. But I did love this perforated fabric backhand. This is a bulky glove. So this is, again, the other extreme that I like. I really love that glove. And then a pair of Cell Sport Aquas.